Archaic Records.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Archaic Records here with you again. My name is Jamie, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. Here to wish you a very happy Morrissey Monday, a weekly celebration of all things Morrissey and Smiths. And I am sorry that I missed you last week. Things have been a little bit hectic around here as of late. But then again, if you think about it, it really wouldn't be a Morrissey-themed show without its occasional cancellations with somewhat suspect explanations. But it is really great to be back this week on Morrissey Monday. In this week's episode, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the newest, as of at least this date today, September 16th, 2023, the newest record in the Morrissey catalog, and that is I Am Not a Dog on a Chain. Now, this record, of course, was released in 2020 and produced by Joe Cicerelli. And I think one thing that's interesting about this record is that this would appear to me to be one of the more divisive records sort of within the Morrissey fan community. I've talked to several people over the years since this record came out who've told me that they really don't like this record very much. I've also talked to one person in particular who went as far as telling me that they wish that this record had never been made. Now, to me, I completely disagree. Now, if you judge this record compared to the few records before it, sort of the more current era of Morrissey's catalog, not really counting California Sun, not that I don't love that record, because I do, but of course it's all covers, so it's sort of kind of its own animal. But if you were to compare this record to like Low in High School, I think that this record is actually much better than Low in High School. And to me, this record is just way ahead, or way better, not even close to World Peace. Now, World Peace is probably one of my least favorite records in the Morrissey catalog. But I really love Low in High School. I think Low in High School has a lot of really awesome material on it. But to be honest with you, I would actually take this record over that, start to finish. I do think that some of the high points on Low in High School are some of the best stuff that Morrissey's put out in the last decade or so. But as a record, start to finish, I actually really love this record. I think that this record is a very vital, strong piece of the catalog. And for me, I really don't relate to or understand some of the strife that some of the Morrissey fans I've talked to feel about this record. Now, obviously, this album came out during the height of the pandemic, so it wasn't something that he could really tour on. So for me personally, I have not seen him live since the pandemic. So I have not seen any of these songs live in person. Now, of course, I've seen some stuff that has been posted on various social media sites. But I'm really excited about going out on this 40th anniversary tour and sort of seeing what songs from this record he busts out on the current tour. Again, like I said, I really like this record. I bought this record right when it came out, and I think I've told you in the past, when California Sun came out, which is a record I really love a lot, it was a little bit, I had sort of mixed feelings about the idea of Morrissey doing an all-cover album, mostly just because he's such an incredible writer, he's so prolific, he always seems to have so much material, ready to go, that when it was announced that this record was coming out, it seemed like not long after California Sun, I was very excited. And again, I think that this record is better than at least its previous two original predecessors. Of course, one thing, when this record first came out, and the artwork and everything was announced. The one thing I did notice, and I will still stand by to this day, is that I don't particularly love the album art on the front. Not that Morrissey isn't a very dashing man, of course he is, but to me the artwork just sort of looks a little bit cheap, honestly. Maybe it's the colors. And honestly, despite the fact, like I said, that Morrissey is quite a handsome gentleman, that is really not the most flattering picture you could ever have as the front cover. I remember when I first saw, and this is before the record came out, but I saw when the artwork was released, I didn't think that that was the actual artwork. Not that I was not hoping it was, but it didn't seem like, it just doesn't really look like a Morrissey album cover. And I don't care who you are. I mean, really, nobody looks their best up that close. I mean, even me, if you can believe it. I mean, I'm pretty flawless looking, I admit, but even up close, it's not its best. But when this record came out, I got it the first day it came out. I brought it home, I listened to it, and I was very pleased with this record. I still am. I think when I did my Morrissey ranking on my very first Morrissey Monday video, I believe out of the 19 albums I ranked, I believe that this one came in 12th. So I think that this is a very solid, sort of middle of the pack record. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you and try to convince you that this thing is a top 10er, because it's definitely not. But I definitely do not think that this is something that goes towards the back of the catalog. And like I've said, for people that really don't like this record, and for that one person in particular who I talked to who said that they wished this album had never been made, I completely disagree. Like I said, I'm not completely in love with the front artwork, but I really love the back cover. I mean, I just think that is a very powerful image. It's a very cool looking image superficially. And again, Morrissey's artwork on his records is usually something you can't really argue with, whether you're a fan or not. But man, I really do like this record a lot. This is one, obviously it's the newest one. It just came out, I guess 3 years ago now. But this is still a record I listen to quite often. And when it first came out, I was obviously, I think we all, when the newest record or the newest thing comes out, it is on high rotation in most of our listening habits. But this one really is still one that I put on a lot. Now, it's definitely not, like I said, not a top 10 record for me, but I really do like it a lot. The record starts side one with the song Jim Falls. Now, I really do kind of like this song. To me, this is not a high point of the record, but it's not a bad song. I do like the lyrics. I do like the instrumentation. To me, I would say that Jim Falls is kind of middle of the pack as far as the record goes. It doesn't really stand out too much. And I would say the next thing, the same for the next song, Love Is On Its Way Out. I think that song is better than Jim Falls. But again, I think that it's just kind of an album track. It doesn't leap out at you. I do like it. Again, there's not a ton on this record that I don't like. I would say there's a couple songs on this record that are, clunkage would be a strong word, but there's a couple songs on this record that are not my favorites. One of them is the next song, Bobby, Don't You Think They Know? Now, this song has got a great instrumentation, great tempo, great beat. It's very danceable, if you will. So I do kind of like this song. It's not one of my favorites. I love the backing vocals by Thelma Houston. To me, this song is, again, it's sort of a middle of the pack Morrissey song. It doesn't completely stand out. I remember the first time I heard this record. After hearing the first 3 songs, I was like, I don't know, like, because they're not bad. They're not. Again, there's very little on this record that you could say is bad. I mean, there's very little in his catalog, really, that you could say is bad. But it's like, okay, so far I'm not in love with this record. But I do really love, on Bobby Don't You Think They Know, I really do love Thelma Houston's backing vocals. And actually, his voice and her voice really make a really cool sounding combination. To me, the song Bobby Don't You Think They Know is just, it's fine. I would just say that. It's fine. The next song, now we're starting to get into some songs that I just really love. For me, the next one is the title track, I Am Not a Dog on a Chain. Man, I love this song. Lyrically, I think this is a song that all Morrissey fans can sort of relate to and get on board with. Again, I love when Morrissey gets snotty. I like when he gets angry. This, to me, song sounds kind of angry, sort of middle finger up in the air. I really love this song. I love any time that Morrissey promotes critical thinking, because sometimes I feel like in the world that we live in nowadays, and I don't care which political side of the aisle you sit on, I am not a political person, so I really don't care what you think or where you sit. But sometimes I feel like critical thinking is just a damned thing in our society. And as Morrissey talked about in one of his interviews he released earlier this year, conformity in our society now is almost like a religion. And I love anytime he takes on conformity, anytime he promotes critical thinking. Those are songs to me that are just always stick out as being some of my favorites. And the song I'm Not a Dog on a Chain is one of the high points on this record for me. The next song is my favorite song on this record. And I would say, apart from Spent the Day in Bed, is probably my favorite new Morrissey song in the last decade. And that is What Kind of People Live in These Houses. I absolutely love this song. I love the guitar on this song. I love the instrumentation. Again, I love the lyrics. These are lyrics I think that any Morrissey fan can kind of celebrate and get behind. I talked to somebody one time who said that they didn't like that song because they thought it was too mean. Now, I don't exactly understand what that means or why or how this song is mean, but I absolutely love the song What Kind of People Live in These Houses. Like I said, apart from probably Spent the Day in Bed, that might be one of my favorite new songs over the past decade. I listen to that song all the time. I never, ever get tired of it. Side 1 ends with another classic to me, Knockabout World. Now, I don't know, if this is what he was saying by this, but one thing that I take away from this song, or the way that I interpret this song, is, of course, this song is very anti the media. It's very anti-cancel culture. And I just absolutely love this song. Lyrically, it kind of hits home, especially, again, with the world we live in. And the world we live in terms of, like, conformity, cancel culture, and social media. Really love the song Knockabout World. That song to me is almost like a blanket, like a warm blanket. Sometimes you can wrap around and just protect yourself from all the chaos outside. Sometimes my wife and I always talk about this. When we get home at the end of the day, it's always so nice when you can come in and sort of close that door behind you and leave all that other bullshit out there behind you. And to me, that's kind of what I take away from the song Knockabout World. I'm not putting words in his mouth. I'm not trying to overanalyze what he was saying by it. But I absolutely love that song. Again, that song is just very comforting to me. That I'm not the only one who sees things the way I do. Side 2 starts off with two of my favorite songs on this record. The first one, Darling, I Hug a Pillow. I mean, holy smokes, that is the goods right there. I mean, that song is absolutely beautiful. It's heartbreaking. It's lonely. Again, it's another song I feel like all Morrissey fans can kind of connect to and relate to. I absolutely love Darling, I Hug a Pillow. The next song is Once I Saw the River Clean. I really love this song. I love the instrumentation. I love the intro. One thing I like about this record in general, I like a lot of the diverse kind of instrumentation. I like how a lot of the songs sound completely different from each other. I really love the musical songwriting on this record a lot. Of course, lyrically, it's brilliant, I think, also. Once I Saw the River Clean is one of my favorites off this album. The next song is probably, to me, is the weak point on this record. This is the one song that I would sort of kind of describe maybe as a little bit of clunkage. I just really don't like the song very much. The Truth About Ruth. To me, this song is kind of a skipper. I remember the first time I heard this record, after you kind of get through the beginning of the record where it's a little bit slow, and then you just hit like cut after cut after cut. I remember the first time I listened to this record, the song Truth About Ruth, kind of like derailed me a little bit. Again, it's my least favorite song on this record. I skip it a lot when it comes on. For me, again, you might love it. That's a great, awesome thing about music. It's so subjective. Somebody left a comment on my Morrissey ranking talking about the song Life is a Pigsty. I said that song was okay, which is what I think. The person seemed to sort of take offense to it. If you think that Life is a Pigsty is the greatest thing ever, that's awesome. If you think the song Truth About Ruth is one of the best Morrissey songs ever, God bless you. I'm not here to insult you. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But to me personally, the song Truth About Ruth is not a high point on this record. To me, it is the weakest song on the album. And to me, like I said, it's a skipper. For me, most of the time, a lot of times I'll put this record on and just listen to it. I won't run over across the room and throw stuff out of the way to skip it. But when it comes on in the car, skip. The next song is another song. The first time I heard, I was a little bit sort of confused by, but it has grown on me into being, I wouldn't say it's, a favorite of mine. I wouldn't say it's necessarily, one of the greatest Morrissey songs of all time. But The Secret of Music, the first time I heard that song, I was just like, what in the hell is this? But over time, it's just really kind of grown on me. It is just 7 minutes, and again, I've said this before, I'll probably say it again, I get kind of weird with like really long songs. Not that 7 minutes is really long, but I kind of get weird sometimes with long songs. But man, I love The Secret of Music. It is just weird. It's kind of uncomfortable. Somebody told me one time it was his cheap attempt at art rock. Again, somebody being, not very nice. I love the song Secret of Music. Again, the first time I heard it, I was just like, what? But man, it's really grown on me. I love that song. I don't know why. It's just weird. It's just a weird, bizarre, very kind of not typical Morrissey song. I don't know if there is a such thing as a typical Morrissey song, but I really love The Secret of Music. It's not that it's a high point on the record, but I love it. When it comes on, it always kind of challenges me a little bit. I like that. Of course, basic math challenges me. I know. And the album ends with a song which I think is really great. My Hurling Days Are Done. I really love that song. Again, I think that this record is, of course, the newest record in the catalog, and it has gotten some sort of, hate's a strong word. I don't think anybody really hates. I mean, one person I talked to said they wish the record had never been made. I don't really get that. But I don't know too many people that are going around like hating on this record. But I think that this record is actually very good. Like I said, I would take this record over, start to finish, I would take this record over Low in High School and definitely over World Peace is None of Your Business. Now, obviously, since this record has been released, Morrissey did release one single, at least so far, off of his now what seems to be permanently delayed record, Bonfire of Teenagers. Now, I haven't heard a lot of news recently as to what's even going on with the Bonfire of Teenagers record. In the interview that I mentioned a few minutes ago, Morrissey has talked about, and he's said this on multiple platforms. He said this on his own website. He thinks it's the greatest record he's ever done. Now, I think that we will all be the judge of that at the end of the day. But he did release, anyway, the first single, Rebels Without Applause, which I have not talked about yet on this channel. And since we're talking about the newest material, I thought I'd kind of throw it in as a tail off of the new album. And again, if you do have any news that I don't about the current state of Bonfire of Teenagers, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I'd love to know. I can't really find anything new on it. Of course, the latest news I've heard is that Morrissey has accused, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, certainly not disagreeing, that Morrissey has accused his former record company of sabotaging the record. I don't disagree with that. I'm not going to lie to you. I know that I'm biased. I completely acknowledge it. I will admit that till the day I die. But I don't think he's necessarily wrong about that. But anyway, if you have any news that I don't, please feel free to comment. If you know anything about the current state of Bonfire of Teenagers, and of course, after that, there's 2 records in the can. Of course, there is Without Music, the World Dies, which I don't think is up for release yet. I do know that, of course, we all know, not saying anything you don't know, but Bonfire of Teenagers has been delayed since, February or something? But anyway, I did want to mention the song Rebels Without Applause, just as kind of a tail end on this, as the most current sort of new material, and I absolutely love that new song. As we said, Morrissey in a recent interview said that the Bonfire of Teenagers record is going to be the greatest record he's ever done. He thinks it's the greatest record he's ever done. And although I may question that, I may be a little bit skeptical of that, man, if Rebels Without Applause is any sort of indicator, I absolutely love that song. To me, it almost has kind of like a Smiths kind of sound to it. Now, he may agree or disagree with that. I love the guitar intro. Of course, I love the lyrics. I always love the lyrics. But to me, that song kind of talks about, getting older and things you love sort of passing through time and becoming relics of the past. I know he mentions in that record specifically, of course, Generation X and X-Ray Spec, sorry. And I know if you were to go and talk to a younger person nowadays about the brilliance of polystyrene, they would probably, if you could even get them to look up from their device, their eyes would absolutely glass over. So to me, that song is very kind of touching. It is something that you do think about, or I think about, at least getting older. But I did want to mention Rebels Without Applause. I haven't talked about it on this channel. I love that song. That song. Again, I said this about what kind of people live in these houses. I think that's one of the better songs he's done over the last decade. And again, if that is any indication of what Bonfire of Teenagers is going to sound like, man, we're missing out with this thing not being released yet. Of course, he has been busting out some of the new songs live, which I've checked out on YouTube, and man, I'm thinking they sound pretty good. But I did want to touch on Rebels Without Applause. I love that song. In fact, I haven't talked to any Morrissey fan that doesn't like that song. That thing is the goods right there. One more quick thing I wanted to touch on this week. I wasn't here last week. You're welcome. But a week or so ago, my wife and I were out at one of our local malls here in Nashville. We were going out to see the new Ninja Turtles movie. And apart from that, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm all about transparency and honesty on this channel. My wife and I sometimes just go to the mall. It's something that we started doing when we lived up in the north during the winter. We lived up in Milwaukee, and we used to go to the mall during the winter because there wasn't a lot else to do. And I like the mall. You can judge me any way you want. If you can find a better place to go people watching than a mall in Tennessee, then I'd like to hear it. But anyway, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I were at the Opry Mills Mall over by the Grand Ole Opry here in Nashville, Tennessee. We were going to see the Ninja Turtles movie. Before we go to the movies, we always do a lap. We always walk around, hit all the stores, check out, see what's out there. And my wife and I were doing our lap when I spotted at the Opry Mills Mall in Nashville, Tennessee, our good friend, the big guy, Stephen Patrick Morrissey, in a way. Now, my wife went into Forever 21, a store that we frequent when we go to the mall. Don't judge me, by the way. I know what you're thinking. I can go to the mall. And anyway, I was sort of walking around as she was checking out various items. Now, I am not somebody who typically buys my clothes at Forever 21 or the mall at all. I pretty much buy band shirts and Dickies. That's my uniform most of the time. But I was sort of just walking around kind of, glassy-eyed when I noticed something from across the room. Now, when you go to these stores like Forever 21 and H&M and The Gap and all these mall stores, it's interesting that some of them carry band shirts, or there's different bands that sell shirts at these stores, and they're always kind of the same bands. It's always like Kiss and Iron Maiden and Def Leppard, AC/DC, and even the Ramones. And so there was this little band shirt section over there. And being a band shirt geek, of course, I go over there just to see which bands they have. I like seeing the designs. It doesn't, I'm not usually in the market to buy one of them. When out of my side eye, I noticed something that I had not expected to see at Forever 21. And that was a shirt featuring my main man for the job, Stephen Patrick Morrissey. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was actually very shocked is a strong word. I think shocked is a word that gets overused, so I will spare you the melodrama and say I was very surprised, though, to see a Morrissey shirt at Forever 21. Now, I also admit that I'm not somebody who knows a lot about how the music business works and the legalities of this stuff. But at the same time, I was like, man, that is something that is completely unexpected. I would totally not be surprised if I saw a Morrissey shirt at Hot Topic or Spencer's or any of those other sort of teeny bopper mall stores. But I was quite shocked to find one at Forever 21. I'm not going to lie to you. And I ran over, and of course I told my wife, who didn't believe me, but I ran back over, grabbed it, showed her. I think she was, even though she's not in the same sort of Morrissey fandom as I am, I think she was a little bit surprised. And again, I don't know if this is something that he has to sign off on or his management. I don't really understand how this stuff works. Sorry. I'm an idiot, I guess. But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I turned my nose up and walked away in protest. I actually did purchase the shirts. I'm a collector. I'm a slut. I have no integrity. I admit it. But this is the shirt in question. Not an unattractive shirt featuring Morrissey. And just so you believe me, I left the tag on. I don't know if I'll actually wear this shirt. I have enough Morrissey shirts I wear, but this is the shirt I found at Forever 21 at the mall in Nashville. And again, I don't know how all this stuff legally works, but I was a little surprised. I'm not going to lie to you. But anyway, that is my newest piece of Morrissey collectabilia, if you will. I was not going to the mall that day expecting to buy a Morrissey shirt, but I bought it because I don't really care. I have no integrity. I'm a total slut. I don't really care. One more quick thing to touch on before I get out of here this week. It was announced recently that Morrissey had to postpone some shows in South America due to illness. He got sick upon landing in Mexico City. I believe it was, I looked up what he, I forget what it was called, but it was something to do with a tropical mosquito bite. A very rare condition, apparently. So Morrissey had to postpone his Mexico City and South American tour dates. And of course, this gives the haters and all those intellectually bankrupt trolls on social media ammunition to fire shots across the bow at the big guy. But at any rate, the South American tour has been postponed. He is going to take a few weeks off to rest, and the tour will relaunch October 7th in Orlando, Florida. As far as I know, the Mexico City date that had to be canceled has been rescheduled for Halloween. And beyond that, I believe that the South America tour dates will fall in line pretty much immediately after that. But from me to the big guy, I do wish him a speedy recovery. And I hope that he's able to get back on stage sooner than later. And selfishly speaking, I'm hoping he's okay by October 14th and 15th, because I will be seeing him down here in Memphis and Nashville, and I can't wait. Like I said, I have not seen him since the pandemic. I have not seen him since the newest record came out. And it's just been too long since our paths crossed, quite frankly. Anyway, man, thank you so much for checking out this video. This is Archaic Records in Nashville, Tennessee. My name is Jamie. If you liked this video, be sure to check back every week for Morrissey Monday, my weekly celebration of all things Morrissey and the Smiths. Go out and support your local record store, and apparently Forever 21, if these shirts are still available. Go back and revisit. I'm sure you haven't let it get too far out of your sights since it came out a couple years ago, but go back and revisit I Am Not a Dog on a Chain. I think that this is a very good, vital, strong piece of Morrissey's catalog. I really don't care what the haters think. I really don't care what anybody thinks. I love this record. Go back and check it out. Anyway, man, thank you so much for checking out this video. I really do totally appreciate it. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section regarding your opinion on the newest Morrissey record, and also Rebels Without Applause. And also, if you have any information that I don't have, or you're privy to any information that I don't know about the current state of Bonfire of Teenagers, please feel free to comment it in the comment section below. I'll talk to you next week on Morrissey Monday. Stay tuned in between then and now for more record content, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.